This video is a bit of a show and tell example, focusing on several aspects. I received a map from our friends from Taranis Systems, which is based on 2-meter resolution laser scans. The map is small and shows its experimental state in places, and sadly enough we can't include it in the upcoming release. The reason I'm including it is because it shows some of the potential of the new terrain engine, given that the conversion of old existing maps cannot show it more or less by definition. Also, it's time to lift the curtain about playable vehicles. The Marder is one of the oldest designs for an infantry fighting vehicle. Despite its age, being in the 35-ton range, it's still a very well-protected vehicle. The Marder crew consists of the commander, the gunner, shown here is the primary sight with day sight and thermal imager, and the driver. The main weapon is the Rheinmetall RH-202 autocannon with 20mm caliber and a rather enormous amount of ammunition, 500 rounds in total at the ready. Also see the coaxially mounted MG3 and the smoke discharger launchers. The main purpose of the IFV is, however, to transport infantry. While mounted, they will usually open the rear hatches, provide all-round observation, and cover the vehicle with suppressive fire in the rear sector. Each Marder platoon is equipped with 2 Milan anti-tank missile launchers. The other 2 quads carry an MG3 and a Panzerfaust 3. Also, it is possible to add 2 teams with a scoped assault rifle to the mix, if you create the unit from a force template. Keep in mind, however, that in order for a sniper team to open fire on an enemy unit, it must be tagged in the mission editor to be a high-value target, or HVT. Only infantry or civilian population units can be tagged as an HVT, but not the commanders of vehicles, to name an obvious example. Also, sniper teams have a low rate of fire, so you may be better off using a template without snipers in the mix. It depends a bit on what the focus of your scenario is. Another new feature in Steel Beast is the option to activate the overhead view mode. When you're in the external observer's position, hit F8 again to get transported to a bird's eye view of the battlefield, which will only reveal enemy units that have either been spotted by your computer-controlled forces already, or who have been tagged by the shift laser key combo by some other friendly player in the first-person view. Hold the spacebar, and then click left and drag to pan the view. Click right and drag to adjust the viewing angle. Use the mouse wheel or Q and Z to adjust the height. While you're in the overhead view, you can issue movement commands, which will be projected on the 3D ground. Finally, a word about your personal preferences. These can be set both in the mission editor and in the planning phase. You may set the default waypoint behavior at the end of each route and for each movement tactic separately. The same goes for the behavior with respect to buildings, to randomly fill a building's vacant battle position slots or to give preference to the battle position's orientation and the building level. Back to the Marder. The commander's position is on the left in the turret. You may use the binoculars as usual and adjust your position by the usual keys Q and Z. Inside you'll see the vision blocks. Click them or press F4 to observe the vehicle's surroundings while you're under armor. B opens and closes the hatch. Behind the commander you'll see the ammunition, 170 rounds AP, black tip, and 330 rounds HE. In addition, a further 750 rounds of 20mm are stored in each vehicle. Unlike any other IFV in Steel Beast, the Marder is capable of sustained suppressive fire for extended periods. As the commander, you have 2 sighting systems, the day sight with wide and narrow field of view, and the thermal imager, which is shared between gunner and commander. N toggles between both fields of view as usual. Note that in SteelBeast 4.0 all thermal sights now have a depth of field effect applied. Press the multiplication key on the numpad to shift the focus on the object in your crosshairs. Numpad minus toggles the polarity. Use either sight when overriding the gunner to fire coax and autocannon. The lever just below the day sight will operate the ballistic protection of the sights to protect against artillery fragments or incoming direct fire. Further below is the hydraulic control handle. On the right, marked with E, the trigger for single fire, which is the default in SteelBeast. On the left, marked with D, the trigger for burst fire, which is mapped in SteelBeast to shift space by default. Up and to the left, you can see the range dial. Use the red figures for high explosive and full caliber IP rounds, DM43 in this case, which is the default for all modern platoons. The green figures represent the elevation for the DM63 APDS rounds, and use the black scale for the coax. Hold the mouse over the dial, hold the shift key, then use the mouse wheel to adjust the range. Often you will find, however, that shifting the aim point works faster, particularly at ranges under or around 800 meters. To the left and above the range dial, you will find the lever to toggle between powered turret reverse, or, if the hydraulics are failing, the mechanical gears for hand crank operation. Behind that lever, you can also spot the elevation indicator for the gun. As usual in SB Pro, by pressing P, you take control of the turret to guide the gunner to the next target. Between the gunner and commander, at the bottom to your left, see the main control panel. Look directly at it, then press N to zoom in on it. The main control panel lets you click buttons to toggle the ammunition feed, AP, neutral, HE, but of course the default hotkeys insert and delete work just as fine. Note the delay between pressing the button and the actions of the Doppelgurtzuführer. Here are the switches for end of belt warnings, marked with Moon Ende for AP and HE rounds, and the same for the coax. The controls in the upper center will set the thermal imager properties. Above the central console, note the two levers to toggle the safety for coax left and autocannon on the right. Up is safe, low is armed, and only one of them can be armed at a time.
Fire! Target! Fire! Target! Target! Fire! Target! Target! Fire! We're taking fire here. 1-2, still off the tank. 1-1. We're taking fire here. This is 1-1. We're taking fire here. This is 1-3. We're taking fire here. This is 1-3. We're taking fire here.